We're here to talk about Draco Magi with Robert Burke. He co-designed this game with Richard Launius, and it is a very recent Kickstarter success. So I'm just going to hand it over to you. Tell us a little bit about Draco Magi.
Well, Draco Magi is a dueling card game. It's a two-player game, and the premise is the Dragon King has died, and you are a Dragon Mage acolyte trying to rise to power. And the way they pick the next Dragon King is they have a contest to see who can control the dragons of the kingdom the best. That person becomes the next Dragon King. So what you're doing is you've got a bunch of dragon cards. There are two factions. There is the green faction, and then there is the gold faction. So each player is going to have a hand of dragon cards, like you see here: silver, brass, gold, green, brass, oriental, undead dragons, battle dragons. There's a whole bunch of great dragons in the game, and the artwork is all by Karem Bayet, who's an artist I just fell in love with and was an inspiration for the game itself, is his dragon artwork. But players are going to alternate playing dragons to different battlefields. So here's a dungeon battlefield, for example. Here's the Mountains of Mist. Here's the Darklands. And every battlefield where you're placing your dragons has a different modifier. Some of them help certain dragons, some of them hurt dragons. So that kind of helps you determine where the best tactical locations are. And they all have a different colored gem as well. And that's how you win the game. If you collect 3 gems of a different color, 3 gems of the same color, or 4 gems of any color, you immediately win the game. So it's kind of an area control aspect to the game where you're really trying to be the first player to get that combination of gems to win and become the Draco Magi. So all these are double-sided as well. So you'll see when I flip that, it turned from blue to green. First, one of the dragons is a bronze dragon, and when I place him, I have the ability to flip that battlefield if I want. So when I do that, I can change the color of that gem. So I could do that to maybe stop my opponent from winning, or to help myself win, maybe I need a blue gem. So that's a dragon that has like a strategic ability. Some of the dragons have defensive abilities, some of them have ranged attack abilities, some of them have melee attack abilities. And the game is really kind of learning how to use those dragons to be the most effective to win the game. There's a couple different phases. There's a melee, ranged attack phase. When the dragons are flying in, if they have a ranged attack like this gold dragon does, he has a ranged attack of 2. There's a little icon there. As soon as I place him, I get to make a ranged attack against my opponent on the other side of that battlefield. Then there's a melee value on the top. After we place all our dragons and they're on the battlefields, then they're going to fight each other. And we add up all the melee values of every dragon on that battlefield, and we draw battle cards equal to that number. And then there's a kind of a cat and mouse, different mechanic to resolve the melee of the game. So the ranged attack is more random, and you're basically positioning your dragons for the final battle. And then the card play during the melee battle is more cat and mouse. You're trying to preserve your hand. You're trying to outwit your opponent during the melee phase. And that's it. It's a quick game. It lasts about 30 minutes, and it's a 2-player game.
Okay, so just sort of some gameplay questions here.
Yep.
You were saying these things here, when do these actually get fought for? It's like, you know, I play cards, you play cards, and then we do everything? So
what happens is we're going to all place our dragons first, and then once we go into the melee phase, whoever is the first player is going to pick any battlefield they want to fight on first. So if I pick this one, we're going to add up our melee values and draw battle cards equal to that number, and we're going to fight until those cards are gone. All right. When players can't play cards anymore, whoever has the most dragons at that location wins this battlefield, and they bring it over here and add it to their collection. So as soon as they get 3 different colors or 3 of the same, they immediately win the game, and it's over.
Okay.
Yep.
And I guess just on personal interest, you said that this has a different color on the other side. Is that open knowledge, or do you have to play that card to see? You have to play the card to see what's on the other side. Okay, so you could be taking a risk.
Yes, and about half of them change the color, but about half of them change, that changed the color too. that changed the battlefield. You see, the color stayed the same, but the battlefield changed. So, like, for example, in the dungeon, you can't play any flight cards. There's a card during the melee, you can combo cards too. Like, if I could play a bite and a claw, that'd be 3 cards attacking you. You would have to defend with those 3 cards. Or if you have a flight, you could play 1 flight card and avoid my attack altogether. So then I've lost 3 cards, you've only lost 1, and now you might have the advantage. In the dungeon, flight cards cannot be played. But if I flipped it, this means that magic attacks cannot be used. So it changes the dynamic, but you don't know which one it's going to be until you actually play a bronze dragon and flip it over.
I gotcha. So for our viewers, what would you say this game is, or what other game would you say this game is like?
Well, my last game was Battle for Souls. It definitely has an area control element like that. I know Richard has another game called Defenders Battlefields that has an area control element. And the range but the melee attacks, I don't know if I've really seen a game with that, the kind of mechanic that we have in it. I think it's pretty unique.
It actually sounds really unique.
Yeah, the ranged attacks are more positioning, and it's just, you know, who's got the better values, who gets the better cards. There's no dice in the game, but the battle cards are very interesting because during the ranged attack, it's a random element, right? I'm flipping a card, whoever has the most successes wins, right? But as opposed to dice, as you're flipping these cards, you know what you've been burning, right? So if you've been burning a lot of good cards, you know some of the ones that aren't so good are coming up. Or if you've been burning a lot of cards that haven't been so good, you know you're going to be flipping some cards soon that are good, right? So it's less random than dice, but it still is a random element during that range attack phase.
Yeah, but you can mitigate it by playing smartly. You know,
Absolutely.
if I know bad cards are coming up, I play a little more defensively.
Right.
If I know good cards are coming up, maybe I can take that risk.
Right.
Because I'm really hoping that card, because the odds are in my favor that something good's going to happen.
And then there's a slight deck building element to the game too. Like at the beginning, there's a draft. These are advanced battle cards. So these are red, have red borders. And these are more powerful cards. So at the beginning of the game, each player is going to draw 3 of these. They're going to keep 1 for themselves, give 1 to their opponent, and the other one's going to be shuffled back in. So, and then you're going to shuffle it into your basic battle card deck. So you're going to start with 2 really good cards in your deck. Now, like Gold Dragon's ability, for example, is if I kill another dragon with a ranged attack, I get to draw a new advanced battle card. But it goes on top of my battle deck. So now I know that my next attack is going to be good. I don't know what it is, but I know it's going to be good. And then there's other ways to win more advanced battle cards as well. So you're kind of building your power as the game progresses.
All right, well this sounds fantastic. I'm going to have to give this a try at some point over the weekend.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be glad to show it to you.
Well, I appreciate the time.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.